So the last thing that happened in the last session was Elliott ran up the red flag, right?
Yeah.
And after dark. So we can just keep going from there. So instead of fast forwarding to the next morning, we will continue on in that evening. So Josh, were you here for the last session?
You mean the session before last week? No, I think I missed that one.
Yeah, the last session that I GM'd.
Yeah, no, I missed that one. I kind of caught up to the group.
The group has gone back to Loofah, and there's some interactions with the interim king of Loofah, who Elliott has let you guys know on the DL is his brother, who has conned his way into position as the king. So Elliott's like, don't talk to him like he's my brother. Don't call him any name other than the name he's going by, and all this other jazz. So you've had lots of warnings, and there is friction between the interim king and the advisor, whose name was Marges, right, or something like that.
I wrote it down. Marks,
that's right. Marks, with then like a weird extra syllable somewhere, but whatever. We'll just
a KX.
Yeah, Marcus. All right, we'll just keep calling him that. Perfect. So we'll just pick up from Merkatroid and Jak are chilling in one of the rooms that's been provided for you, and Elliott has just finished running up the red flag, which looks almost black in the moonlight. And from your vantage point up here in the harbor, up here in the tower, you can look out over the harbor, and you can see some lights very low on the water off in the distance.
I mean, I'd recognize that ship by this point, right?
Yeah, yep. It's too dark out there. I mean, there's some moonlight and stuff, so you can see maybe the shape of a ship. But it's not just one anymore. You can see several ships around. But at this distance, you can't identify whether it's the Leviathan or not.
Okay. I didn't think so. I just wanted to reaffirm that, make sure that was the case. All right. Well, I'll sneak back to where the guys are.
Excellent. I'll just use your previous stealth roll, which I'm sure was awesome. So you're able to get back to their rooms without drawing any attention.
Okay. So, gang, I've run up the red flag, which apparently hasn't been done in a long time. So that used to summon the boat to port, but I don't know if that's still the case. I think that we should do some detective work, see if we can find out any and all information that we can about like this advisor guy and the ghost ship.
Makes sense.
Okay.
If you need me to sneak around, I'm more than up for it.
I think this is gonna be like talking backed up by muscle. Some like intimidation talking, like we're gonna pose as criminals kind of thing.
I'll intimidate.
Nice.
Jak is not very intimidating.
No problem.
Jak's pretty damn intimidating.
Yeah, just don't talk. Just stand there and people will be freaked out.
Until I start eating grass.
Exactly. Well, it depends on like how you eat the grass.
Yeah, if you form the grass into the crude shape of like a doll and then bite its head off, that would be intimidating. Make a little wicker man. Excellent. So you guys have reunited back in the chambers that you guys are staying in the palace. How would you like to proceed, and where would you like to go?
I think it would make sense for us to just walk out the front door. I mean, we're guests, right? Being with the party of Valhalla Kazam, so it wouldn't be totally weird for us to go out and check out the nightlife of Loofah.
You could be right. No one has specifically told you not to, and there's no curfew on.
Okay. Then, yeah, I think we just walk out brazenly.
Okay, excellent. Up here, the city's pretty quiet, but the closer you get down to the docks area, you definitely come upon the more rowdy scene. There's pubs with music playing. Valhalla's probably already down, right? He's like waves to you guys from inside a pub where he's carousing with some ladies and Sublime. And then past the kind of taverns and everything like that, you get down to the docks proper, and there's work going on here even at this hour, right? There's constantly ships being repaired or outfitted or loaded. You have to sail with the tides, right? So you can't always pick when you get to sail.
Right. Okay, so is it like super obvious to us that it's that crime has kind of gripped the city, or is it still sort of regular looking nightlife here?
It's from your brief time here before, it seems pretty much the same. Maybe a little bit more subdued. Like you're looking around, and where the last time you were here, these taverns were full. They're maybe only about 80% full right now. And you're looking up and down the docks, and previously there were ships moored end to end and some double parked, as it were. Now there's even some gaps, where you can just see the dark water, and definitely not suffering, but not as booming as Loofah once was.
Right.
In fact, in looking up and down the docks, you see a familiar face. You see Dante's uncle, the tiefling, heading towards a low, very fast-looking schooner, which is docked up at the end of a dock. He is being escorted by, on each side of him, two rather large and burly-looking men dressed in black, and then a taller, strange-looking figure, draped in a heavy black cloak kind of thing with a deep hood, following just several steps behind them.
But we don't recognize them, right?
No, you recognize Dante's uncle, though.
Can I do like an insight or a perception to see if it looks like he's being escorted against his will?
Yes.
Is that insight or perception, one or the other, or
whichever you'd like, and depending on your roll, I'll give you a different answer.
Gotcha. Perception then.
Come in.
27.
Good girl.
I kind of.
Do you want a chocolate or jelly?
I think if he's being escorted against his will, we want to shadow him, and if they're buddy, then we go up and introduce ourselves. You guys down with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because
Jack has no idea who's Dante, but that's fine. Just,
a guy,
some other cow guy we had.
Yeah, another cow guy we used to travel with, who was very, very foolish in his strategies for dealing with problems.
Excellent. A 27 perception. You notice a very quick kind of look over his shoulder, as though Dante's uncle is looking back at the city, and hesitation in his step, but then he looks at the figure in the cloak, who takes a half step towards him, and immediately he turns and continues walking down the pier towards the fast-looking schooner.
So it sounds like
he noticed it?
No, he hasn't noticed you. It doesn't look like he is paying much attention to anything except for this figure, who is, I don't want to say herding, but trailing anyway.
Oh, the hooded figure is behind him?
Yes.
Interesting. And he's like paying attention to the hooded figure.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And when he looked like he was maybe going to turn around and say something, all he had to do was look up into the face of the hooded figure and immediately changed his mind.
I see. Yeah, it really sounds like he's being forcibly led. Okay, then I say shadow. So we'll try and kind of blend in with the crowd, and they're headed to a schooner?
Yeah, they're headed to a ship.
Can I tell which one?
There are several kind of docked along there, but most of them are little fishing junks. The largest and fanciest one is this sleek, thin on the beam black schooner.
Is it the kind that would go like a long distance, or is this I don't know if he's going for a meeting or if he's like being shipped off the island.
It looks like the kind of ship that is designed to travel quickly.
Gotcha. All right, well, I'm just gonna go for it. Can I get to them before they get to the boat?
Yes, they're not in a big hurry.
Okay, I'm just gonna run up, pull out one of my wine bottles, and make like I'm just walking up and down the pier and run up to Dante's uncle and say, "Hey, Dante's uncle, how's it going?"
You can make an IQ check to try and remember his name. You can try and make... There we go. Merkatroid remembered the uncle's name.
Foink.
I'll let Elliott know the name. I was like, oh, isn't his name Foink?
Foink.
Perfect. As soon as you approach Fwink, the two kind of burlier-looking humans turn and, put one hand on the longswords that are at their sides. And Fwink looks at you and recognizes you right away and has a bit of a mad and desperate smile on his face. He's like, "Oh, yes, Dante's friends."
Yeah, hey, we just got back into Loofah. How's it go? What are you up to? And I'll, play like I'm too drunk to notice that these guys are making aggressive moves.
They, you catch them look to the hooded figure, who must have made some type of imperceptible signal because they just kind of relax. And the uncle reaches out his hands. He's not bound or anything like that. And he shakes your hand. And he says, "Oh, it's wonderful to see you. Is Dante with you?"
No, he's not. Did you have like an important message for him or anything?
He said, "Oh, Dante is male once again. Last time I saw you, my nephew was a niece."
Yeah, that was a weird time. One of us is still gender swapped, but hey, that's the life of being an adventurer.
He laughs a little manically, like, "Yes, I understand. So it goes." He says, "Look, I'm afraid that I have to go away for a little bit." Yes, tieflings are from the Shadow Realm. He says, I have to go away. Feel free. You can continue to use my villa. Unfortunately, all the staff has been released here. He goes for his pockets, and you can see the two burly guys immediately, reach towards their weapons again. But he just kind of reaches into his pockets and pulls out a key ring with big fat skeleton keys on it, and gives it to you. And he says, "Look, just when you see Dante again, give him these, and tell him that I guess the villa is his."
Wow. I definitely will. But hey, come on! We just got here. Come have a drink with us in the bar, and I'll put a hand on his shoulder.
He kind of looks to the hooded figure, who now you're up closer to him. You can look deep into the hood, and you see a strange face. Face unlike any you've seen before. It looks kind of elven, but even more taut in the skin, and the skin here in the moonlight and torchlight from the lanterns and stuff around the pier looks to be yellow, if not golden, and pulled back so tightly that it's almost always forced into this manic grin.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's a bit disconcerting, especially in the depth of the hood where the face appears to just kind of be floating in a pool of darkness. You can't really make out the eyes, but from the bridge of the nose down, this face looks like, one too many facelifts kind of face.
I'll say, "Yeah, come on, you and your friends. We'll all have a drink. I'm buying."
He kind of shakes his head and he says, "No, I'm afraid that these aren't the kind of people that we go out drinking with. Look, he kind of looks to the figure who then reaches up and pulls back the hood, revealing his face, and it's a bit of a nightmare face, right? The eyes are wide and stretched back at the corners. The mouth which is pulled back into this grin. And as he opens his mouth, the teeth are all these file points. The nose is very small and pointy. The ears are long and stretched out, pointed like elf ears, but they're also kind of pulled back to the sides of his head, much like he is in a wind tunnel moving very quickly, or someone grabbed all the skin at the back of this creature's head and pulled it extra tight. He has no hair, or it has no hair. You're pretty sure it's masculine, though, because it just kind of has that feeling. And the skin, now that you get a better look, is in fact a very golden yellowish color. And
have I ever heard of anything like this?
Make a history check. You can all make history checks if you like. Nice one from Jak. So with those rules, the kind of I'll start from the bottom up. So Merkatroid and Elliott, you have heard that the Gorgon has several creatures that are his lieutenants, and they are reported to be twisted augmentations of different races. That the Gorgon scoured the globe, and he collects strange and bizarre races and then forces them to breed with each other to try and create strange mixed breeds, and then trains them, and all these weird magical rituals are done to enhance the creatures. It's a whole bunch of bizarre and twisted legend around the lieutenants of the Gorgon, who are known as the Dark Harlequins.
Did we not see some of these dudes at some point?
Yes,
before then?
you have. You haven't. Maybe you even saw this. Like you're like, yeah, we saw some walking around, and then you remember, yeah, maybe this guy was one of them. This golden. They all look a little bit odd and like a strange mixture of different races that you might not see all the time. Like a quarter elf and part giant and part halfling and little.
Where would we have seen these guys walking around?
I'm trying to remember. Do you remember, Jay, where it was?
There was definitely some of them at the undead fight, and possibly the last time
right.
in Loofah.
Right, the Gorgon is like was leading the undead army.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll kind of like lean in like a drunk dude does, and say, hey, look, Fowink, if there's anything I can help you with, and I like kind of give him like a punch in the arm, you let me know, because we owe you one, am I right? And I'll give him an elbow.
He kind of smiles nervously, and it's like, haha, no, he says, no, everything's fine. That's when the figure kind of steps towards you, Elliott, and in a almost mechanical motion, an arm comes out from the robe, parting it, and you can see underneath a real kind of Edward Scissorhands outfit of all leather and different belts and everything like that. And the arm that's extended towards you is also looks like it's a sleeve of belts and leather and buckles and snaps, right down into a glove that each finger is kind of belted onto the main part of the glove itself, which is held together by several big snaps and clasps. And the hand jerks out towards you, and he says, allow me to introduce myself. I am Tanis, a representative of the Gorgon. I assure you, Mr. Sperling here, and he gests towards Fowink, is not in any danger. His services are required by our master.
Oh, how about that? So when can we expect you back? And I'll give with the guy's outstretched hand, I'll give him like a high five or a low five, wherever it is.
Right. He, when you slap
be like, I'm
it,
Elliott. When can we expect you back, Fowink?
When you slap this hand, it just, it's weird. It feels like, did you ever play with a Stretch Armstrong?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like that, right? So it feels like this guy might not have proper joints and everything in there.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, so it's just like slap, and he looks quizzically at the gesture, And Fwink looks up at Tanis, and Tanis says, Mr. Sperling will be returned as soon as his services have been utilized to completion.
Okay. All right, well, we'll make ourselves at home in your villa then.
He kind of smiles, and he says, yes, I'll be happy to know that it's with family.
Yeah.
Tanis once again then just kind of bows and says, I am sorry I did not receive the pleasure of your name, friend of Mr. Sperling.
Call me Leopold.
Leopold. Well met by moonlight, and the big smile stretches like almost too far up his cheekbones, so you can see his teeth, and then you can see the part of the upper palate jaw, and then you can see parts of his cheek and orbital socket right revealed inside his mouth as his smile gets really uncomfortably large.
Huh. You sure you don't want to come have a drink with us? Let your face down.
He says, no, we really must get back.
I'll shrug and step back and twirl the key ring.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, Merkatroid and Jak, did you guys follow Elliott down the pier, or are you guys watching this from a distance?
I'd say we're probably like at a distance because like there's no way I was being stealthy.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. In that case,
the only thing I heard was utilize, and I wasn't.
In that case, you see Elliott, you see Tanis kind of look up for a second in Jak's direction, and a thoughtful expression kind of crosses his face, and then he smiles, a smaller smile to himself, and gestures Fwink towards his towards the sailing ship, and they board, and you can see preparations are being made to get everything together. And before Fwink is escorted / goes by his own free will below decks, he kind of looks up at you, and he says, goodbye, Leopold, and then disappears below deck. Definite
Yikes.
hint of sadness in his voice.
Well, guys, I kind of not sure about this. I kind of feel like we could attack those guys and try and free this Fwink guy. But is that prudent at this time?
How often have we been prudent about attacking people?
That's a fair point.
So you guys are at either end of the dock. So Elliott just kind of turns back.
Oh, no, I'd walk over.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't just shout across.
No.
Hey, guys!
I was gonna be like, you're doing like Tommy Tricker style communication. You're like doing your whole, hand gestures, and Merkatroid just kind of hefts diplomacy to say whatever, right?
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know. I think he would know. I think he'd be a good judge of. He would have signaled us for, to help him if that was going to be a viable option there. Very interesting. Did we see what bar they came out of?
They did not come out of a bar. They probably came from his house.
Right. I kind of want to go check that place out, see if there's signs of a struggle or if he left something to indicate anything in particular. I remember Dante's uncle being involved in the criminal underworld, so he might have some connections or leads there. You guys into that?
What was that, sorry? I was typing.
Oh, that's cool. I was just saying I feel like we should check out his villa to see if I don't know if there's signs of a struggle or something, or if I remember him being involved in the underworld to some capacity, so we could see if he has any leads or anything. Because we want to find out, at least I want to find out if the advisor guy has any ties to the black ghost ship.
How suspicious would we be going there?
Well, we have the keys, right?
No, let's do it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Maybe he has good grass.
Excellent. You head on up to Dante's uncle's villa, which kind of was slightly up out of the bad neighborhood and overlooked the water a little bit. You get back there and you remember, you guys spent a nice couple weeks here last time. It was quite nice. The place now is completely shut up. All the windows and shutters are closed and boarded, and with the key, though, you're able to let yourselves in, and it's just quiet, and it looks tidy, as though he was given a chance to put his affairs in order before he had to leave.
Okay. I guess I want to do a quick inventory of the house. Go ahead, Jak.
I was going to say, can I roll to do kind of a rough investigation? How long ago would he have gone missing?
He didn't go missing. We just saw him.
This is the guy who's getting escorted onto the ship.
Oh, did we lose you, Jak?
No, I'm thinking. I feel like I'm missing something.
Excellent. Merkatroid's casting about, and you see right there on the dining room table are about a dozen letters that have been written. Several of them are bulky, as though there are, you like lift up the letter and slide it around, and it feels like there's coin inside sliding.
Oh, I'm opening the ones with coins in it.
Okay, the ones with coins are all listed to different names. When you slash open the first one, in like 15 gold comes out, and you see it's like a note saying, "Dear Rosalita, thank you so much for your services as a housekeeper. You were very wonderful. Please find and close the reference letter, and I hope you are able to find employment elsewhere. Here is your pay that is due, plus a severance package. Thank you very much."
So they're all outgoing monies.
They are. And there's one that says to Dante.
I'm opening that.
All right. The letter...
So we went down to the docks and we saw Dante, our old party member who died, his uncle being escorted onto...
No, I mean, like, since we got to this city.
Oh,
because, like, I missed that previous session.
Right.
And missing that and just going into this one, I'm not
cool.
brain today.
So, there's all the, my brother is the king here, in interim, but, there's like a ghost ship that's kind of in the harbor that's, and the criminal, there's like a criminal stranglehold here in Loofah and as well as in the capital, and we're not sure where the top of it is, but there's possibly a traitor in the court, and we're the plan is to go out and meet with the ghost ship and see if they want something in particular or what's going to happen. And we may just come to blows with this massive evil battleship. But we had this connection with Dante's uncle, and I remember him being sort of linked to criminal activity. So we're just investigating all the leads we have right now, which are not very many.
Yeah, the Rod Stewarts have been here before in Loofah, but it was about a year ago.
Before Jak joined up.
Well before Jak, yeah.
Yeah, long before Jak.
Yeah, then we fight like a giant, was it the cloister in the city right beside here?
Yeah.
Sort of. You found a Fey gate in the woods and went to the Fey to fight the cloister.
So, would it be safe to assume that people kind of know who the Rod Stewarts are, or some people would, at least?
Most people
Important
do.
people would.
Yeah.
But around here, Jak probably wouldn't be well known, would he?
Yes and no, right? But the Rod Stewarts had been gaining popularity and stuff like that, but the real kind of clincher was a lot of the stuff that they did was unknown before they came, when they went to the north and came back. It's only since the helping of Merkatroid and doing all the stuff at Gardmore Abbey and then helping out at the Sailwood that you guys, the Rod Stewarts, have been doing things in a much more public face. So it's only in the last, say, 6 to 8 months that the Rod Stewarts have been doing their deeds where people can see them. So beforehand, very few people knew what the Rod Stewarts were doing when they were collecting all the rods and saving the world. They were pretty incognito about what they were about. So as of right now, it's like the people who are in the know, the people who get the information quickly are the ones who will know of the Rod Stewarts, and then just here and there, odds and ends. The fact that you guys travel with Valhalla Kazam is really helping, right? Because they're like, oh, the Rod Stewarts, that's Valhalla Kazam works with them, right, in their adventuring party. So they'll know of Jak because of all of your involvement in the stuff at Gardmore Abbey and the fighting the undead in the Salwood. And probably most of them will
Team Jersey.
Yeah, will think that that Jak was with them from the beginning, right?
Well, my half-baked idea is out the window. I'll do whatever you guys are doing. I'm going to trust your knowledge of the city.
Why? What were you thinking?
I was thinking if people wouldn't necessarily know who Jak is, or necessarily associate him with the Rod Stewarts or their previous time here to know what he looks like and whatnot, I'd go off and do my own investigation, but as kind of a more incognito, anonymous, less standouty.
Well, the ship that we're trying to get information on, the ghost pirate ship thing in the harbor, is basically a ship filled with monsters like minotaurs. So if you're running around by yourself and not in the presence of heroes, you might just get shanked, thinking that I'm assuming this is a mostly human and then probably some dwarfs.
I don't think he'd get shanked though, because the boat has a scary reputation, right? Like people might be
maybe they would run away
intimidated,
from them or something.
or maybe other criminals would be willing to give over information if he looked like a big scary monster minotaur.
Oh yeah, we could costume him up.
Yeah, if they're supposed to be ghosts, we could make me look like a ghost too.
No, they're not ghosts. It's just like a ghost ship that's crewed by monsters.
Oh.
So it's like a bunch of orcs and stuff we've never seen before.
Yeah, no, Jak is not going to deliberately make himself more monstery. He looks ugly enough as it is.
I thought you guys were going to do dress up. It's like the Rod Stewart's best moves is when they do dress
I know,
up.
right? I was like, we could do whatever the Minotaur equivalent of blackface is.
Or just dress Jak up like a pirate.
Oh man, that'd be great.
Actually, that sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'll get you a good eye patch.
Jak has been sailing before. That is how Jak got here.
Well, let's see what we got in the house. I'll read this letter from Dante. We might be able to get you some.
Maybe he's got pirate gear.
Yeah,
it's pretty eclectic.
The letter to Dante, it starts off, "My dear nephew," and then that's crossed out, and then "niece" is written in, of course. And the long and the short of it is that he's being taken away to the Gorgon's Crown, which happens to tieflings around. Merkatroid, you may or may not remember a long time ago when you guys were in the capital city of Anwire, the tieflings there were afraid because at any time the Gorgons people could show up and abduct their whole family, because the tieflings are wanted by the Gorgon because of their ability to access more easily the Shadow Realm, and because of their knowledge from the Shadow Realm, right? Creatures from the Fae know more about the Fae. Creatures from the Shadow Realm know more about the Shadow Realm.
All right. Okay. So I probably attributed that to just the general racism in that city. I didn't put together that it was the Gorgon taking them. Rather, I didn't realize the Gorgon had his hands all the way down in Anwire.
Oh yeah, the Gorgon's lieutenants, the Dark Harlequins. The Gorgon himself, he cannot leave the Gorgon's crown because of a geas put on him, and the special magical guardings of the walls and stuff by the humans, elves, halflings, and the few remaining dwarves in the north, and the giant kin in the north.
But like his minions are free to go.
Yeah,
someplace.
yeah.
Okay.
His Harlequins can do his bidding outside in the world. And that was one of the things that tiefling family, had that brand new little baby, and they were so worried because this was, the first kind of tiefling born out of the Shadow Realm. And it's probably a prize that the Gorgon would want. So the family was a little nervous and concerned about that. But that was over a year ago now that you and Dante spent the evening at that tiefling restaurant.
All right, and that was in the capital. That's not here.
Yeah, it was. But as Elliott's reading from this thing, saying, as I feared, niece, or maybe just says Dante. As I feared, Dante, the Gorgon's men have finally come for me. They, with the terrible war brewing in the north, this new threat, the very powerful, what's the word I'm looking for? The powerful new leader who calls herself Damon in the north, who is taking over areas by the day and expanding, just enveloping, and with her expansion and assimilation of all the provinces and peoples in the north, the Gorgon is obviously bolstering his defenses, and he's come to collect all the tieflings. Dante, if you get this message, you're welcome to stay in my villa, but I beseech you to go into hiding, find a way to conceal yourself, or surround yourself with the best of allies who can protect you. He says, also in the letter, he says, Dante, if you need resources, my safe in the basement is at your disposal. I have used your father's birthday as the code. And then it's just more stuff about how, I saw your potential and blah, 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 uncle to nephew kind of stuff. And there's a very kind of sad note, like this is the last time he's ever going to communicate with Dante. You really get the vibe that once you go to the Gorgon's Crown, you don't usually come back, and there's no communication. You don't get to send letters.
So he's like going to his death, sort of thing.
He's either going to his death, or he's going to an imprisonment from which he will never escape and never be able to contact the outside world again.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, are there any of those letters that, with a cursory look, aren't to staff? Like, is he paying off any debts to, like loan sharks or hired thugs or anything?
It's tough to say. They just all have names on the front, unless you want to rip open each individual letter.
Any that are clearly like a lot more than like 20 gold?
No. No. If you're just like sliding around, I know it sounds like the bulk of them. I'm going to say that there's maybe 25 of these letters, and 20 of them have lots of, the gold inside. The one that said to Dante doesn't have anything inside it. Right. No gold or anything like that wise. And I guess the other 4 are just kind of super fat, like they have extra paper in them.
Right. And don't recognize any of the names, right?
No.
Is there paper money in this world?
No, there's like promissory notes. So if you had a bank account, you could sign and use your seal on the promissory note, and then someone would have to take that to the bank, and they could withdraw from your account, sort of thing, right? More like cashier's checks than paper money.
Right. Well, maybe I'll try I'll just pick one of the really fat ones at random.
Okay, roll a d4 for me, please. Excellent, 4. You slice one open, and You pull it up, and it's written in a language that you don't understand. It is a very Cyrillic language with lots of like vertical lines joined at the top or middle, and in very slashing kind of hashing style. And the letters are grouped together in a unfamiliar formation, as though this particular language does not read handily from left to right, top to bottom.
Gotcha. No promissory note or anything?
It's tough to say because it's all in a different language. But
looking for a seal.
Yeah, the I'm going to say the last 3 pages are half in this language and then half in Anurian, and so the last 3 are promissory notes of big value too, like 10,000 gold.
Well, that's interesting. What do you guys think the over/under is on the names on these envelopes being worth following / hanging on to the tens of thousands of gold? I guess we'd have to match the names on the promissory notes, right?
Don't know.
You're the rogue. You should know how that stuff works.
I should.
Yeah,
I probably
how
do.
does
But
writing work?
writing?
Yeah,
Possible to write with hooves? Or do you have human hands?
Minotaurs have humanoid hands.
Okay.
That's how I hold my axe.
I was gonna say. I assumed you held it in your teeth.
No. I'm not that badass.
Hey, here's an idea. Okay,
That's what my next character should be.
We string like a rubber band between your horns so I can use you as a big slingshot.
Sorry, where were we? Yes, the letter to Dante detailed all that. Oh no, you opened another letter, and yeah, there's 3 separate things for about 10,000 gold each, and yeah, there's some other seals. I guess one of the other things details the ownership of a ship, but it's like transfer of ownership to someone else, and all the spots that have like signature are signed by Dante's uncle, and then the other person has to sign in the new spot to take ownership of a ship.
And with the cashier's checks, we'd have to... There's some kind of like identification bit. If I can't just take them to the bank, right?
No, you'd have to be like your guys' tattoos, right? Your Bank of Anwire tattoos. You'd have to have the matching account information.
Yeah. Okay. We'll definitely get a copy down the names on the envelopes for further investigation. Okay. If they're dealing in that amount of money, then I definitely want to know who they are. And are there loose envelopes lying around so I can put them back in fresh envelopes that aren't like sliced open?
That's a good idea. Yes, you dig around in his. You go to the study and light the lanterns and dig around in his desk, and you do indeed find some fresh envelopes, and you find his seal as well, which is still, you pick it up and you're like, oh, it's still a little warm from sealing these envelopes. Like he just did this, and then they bundled them up and took them out of here.
So yeah, he really was like doing his last business stuff. I guess I want to go have a look at safe.
All right. You make your way downstairs, and after a little bit of searching around in the cellars, you find a big kind of wall safe.
How long would it take me to crack one of these guys? Like, do I have experience with these ones?
It's a big one, and it's pretty. This guy obviously is used to moving large amounts of coin, so it's top of the line. So Elliott's like, with the right tools, you could do it, and you're not sure how long it'll take. Maybe if you get lucky, you can do it in a day, maybe longer. That's if you can find the right tools, which probably easy to do here, in the seedier element that's available in Loofah. This particular brand of safe, right? It's from a certain company, right? We'll say as your lock and key, and you know that all of their metals are reinforced with magic on the inside, so you can't even take the glyphs off from the outside and temper with the steel. So, they pride themselves in their safes being like acid proof and fireball proof and things like that. Also, they're lead lined, so you can't scry or teleport into them.
All right, well, that'll be, we've got access to the house, so, break into that when we need to. Well, as it is, I'm probably good for here for now. Make a mental note to, scour the house for, any portraits or anything that would identify when, Oh, actually, that's a thing. Maybe if I could find out... Did we ever find out where Dante was actually from, like his hometown?
No.
Yeah. Well, I'll think of something. As it is, I'd be... Yeah, go for a once-over.
All right, as much as you remember the place, you go up to his rooms, and he wasn't carrying any luggage, so all of his clothing is still there. His impressive collection of handmade leather shoes, all there.
I'll take some shoes.
I'm going to...
Maybe some robes for fabric.
I'm going to
making better traveling clothes.
Yeah, there's robes. There's clothes and stuff here. I'm going to put in a shoe size, and you put in a shoe size, Jake, and we'll see if they match. We'll hit enter at the same time. Ready?
Okay, hold on. Let me look at my character sheet so I don't make... I haven't looked yet. There. Ah!
The shoes are a little large on you, Elliott.
Little roomy.
Nothing a cobbler can't fix.
That's true. No. Easier to take away than put on.
Nice pair of shoes. Yeah. Okay, well, so so all of his stuff...
Everything.
I don't remember him being like a magic user or a weapons guy.
No. There's lots of books. For medieval times, he's got a pretty decent library, which means about 200 books. Most of them are, legal textbooks and things like that, proper accordances and rules and regulations involved with maritime trade and, real gripping literature.
Anything in the Dwarven language Jak would have grown up with?
Yes, I'm going to say you find one book that's in Dwarven. It's 5 Peaks. Oh, no, it's the Dwarven language you grew up with. No, because these are all books from Cyrillia. But you recognize the kind of scribe, the Dwarven style of writing, and maybe you can pick out a couple words. So it's 5 Peaks Dwarven, and it's essentially, rules and regulations for establishing trade between dwarves and humans. Lots of legal books, right? You can kind of see where Dante's uncle, the more you kind of paw around here and stuff, you see that this guy obviously made his money as a merchant or as a negotiator between merchants.
Gonna do a quick check of his the desk and the closet in his room to see if there are any secret compartments.
Yes, they're quite easy to locate. In the desk, you find one secret compartment that slides out the bottom section, which is like a drawer on the front, but then you just kind of activate the switch and the drawer pulls out even further to reveal a very ornate cut glass crystal decanter and 2 glasses, and there's a amber liquid inside, and
I'll take that.
Sitting in the chair, your knees kind of feel an unevenness, and you reach under and feel a little secret compartment which hinges down and folds towards you like modern desk keyboard stand, and it has a very expensive looking crossbow which is oiled and ready to go.
Awesome. Like full size, not a hand crossbow?
No, it's a hand crossbow. Yes, Jack.
Cool.
You could. It would be difficult, right? It'd be the same as picking up a book in a right. It's picking up a book in a foreign language and trying to figure it out by only knowing a couple words. So you'll be like know those words when you see them, but it's tricky to teach yourself a new language from text.
If where Jak is traveling with Merkatroid, though, would Merkatroid be able to assist him, or
If
no?
Merkatroid was willing, yeah, you definitely would like Merkatroid. What's this word? And Merkatroid could tell you, and then that will help greatly. But that means that when Jak wants to, in your downtime, if Jack's saying, practice my dwarf language, that means Merkatroid's got to be with you, helping you learn it.
Actively help, not just standing by.
No, it's you
doing
have to be like
Merkatroid things.
teaching you. Yeah, he could be. No, he right. There's not everything that he'd be doing that's not actively helping you would just be too much of a distraction, and he wouldn't be efficiently teaching you to speak and read Dwarven. So that's up to you and Merkatroid. But having a book will help, and eventually you'll be able to read it. It would be better if you had an easier book, like the Dwarven equivalent of C-Spot Run, instead of Legalese, right? I can't even imagine.
I can't even read this shit.
Yeah.
It's like nothing in here about rocks at all.
Yeah, if it's way too complicated, no.
There is words about rock. You're like, oh, you recognize this word for rocks, Merkatroid, but much like the Inuit have, 500 words for snow, the dwarves have 500 words for different rocks, and this one in particular means rocks of great value.
Well, there's granite, there's malachite, there's basalt, and there's yeah, there's lots of different rocks. Jail, marble.
No, but like where humans have words like riches or immense wealth, dwarves use words like rocks of great value or rocks that are worth lots of money.
Good rock.
Yeah, good.
Bad rock.
Expensive rock.
Expensive rock.
Yeah.
Schoolhouse rock.
Question, John.
Yes.
Those envelopes. After with my time in the Silewood, seeing like Elven and I can't remember if I saw like written out the High Elven or the Drow, or if it was just like spoken as the keywords for the Barocked safes and everything. I don't suppose I'd recognize that writing in any of those letters.
I don't remember you ever actively seeing the Drow language written down. You might have seen like a word or two when you went to the policeman's, the guy who was investigating the Barock's house, right, on his big crazy conspiracy theory wall. But for the most part, no, you wouldn't recognize Drow language if you saw it. And the names on the front are all written in Anurian. However, there is one name that has lots of L's and Y's, and it's on one of the packages that's more letter than monies. The ones that contain the monies have all like simple Anurian names.
But the I don't recognize the L's and Y one. It wasn't like any of the names we came across in like the Elven High Court or whatever.
No.
Okay, that's fine. If I don't recognize it, I'm not too. I'm gonna copy them down, but that's about it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm probably good for in here.
Think anyone would mind if Jak grabbed a couple robes for,
Do it.
a change of clothes?
We're gonna rob this guy's safe, so take whatever you want.
Jak's grabbing a couple robes for a change of clothes.
Excellent. Are you taking like traveling cloaks, or he's got like some silk bathrobe, kimono style stuff? However, because he is a tiefling, everything is modified with a tail hole.
Jak has a tail.
He also stood about a foot shorter than you, Jak.
Jak will go for traveling robes and get extras so that he can get them modified later with extra length.
Okay, excellent. Yeah.
Maybe it'd be blue with a red hem.
Yeah, they're all, good
Because
quality.
Jak is fashionable.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. Anything else you'd like to do at the compound, at the villa here?
I'm good. I'd be good to go back to the docks.
Okay. Merkatroid?
There's nothing particularly worth to loot out of that spot, so I'll just follow Elliott around.
There's some
Jak's now following.
dwarfy stuff, right? Because this guy was involved in a lot of trades and mercantile stuff and negotiations and things like that. He's got knickknacks and whoozits. So you see on his mantelpiece, a couple like typically touristy souvenir kind of dwarven statues. The kind of stuff that you'd see a collector, a world, or at least a continental traveler would adorn his place with to show visitors that, oh yeah, by the way, I've been to Five Peaks. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's more of like I've been there, not like it's actually great value. It's just a knick-knack.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Right, he's got like a
poser.
right, like a ceremonial mask on the wall, and maybe a special dwarven horned helmet kind of thing perched on top of his hat rack.
I'll just make it crooked.
Make it crooked. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just follow Elliott, see where he's going.
Perfect.
Yeah, back to the docks.
All right. When you head back down to the docks, you can see that it's much the same as you left it. Only a couple hours have passed. So, no, that's not where we are. We're over here.
Oh, sorry. I was just my mouse batteries died, so I wanted to make sure that I could still click.
Oh, okay. Yeah, in the pink circle down here on the coast.
Yeah.
And except in my modified map, the mountains go right to the edge of the continent here instead of stopping here. The mountains go right to the edge.
Okay.
I should actually draw that up. But anyway, doesn't matter. I guess the major difference is there's a couple ships that are gone, including the ship that you saw Dante's uncle board is gone. And there is now a smaller sloop. So just a very small, single-masted, with its sail drawn up and everything, and it is docked. It's a little peculiar. It seems to be docked by itself, as though a lot of other ships kind of moved away from this ship. And all the torches have been put out on the little slip leading to where this dock is. You can see a figure dressed in, loose and comfortable fitting black robes with a hat pulled down over its eyes, kind of resting in the stern of this sloop with its feet up. Dozing, perhaps. And you can only just make out the figure because of a lantern which is shaded with red glass that's hanging on the mast.
Does it have any marks?
Nope.
Something tells me that'll run you to the ghost ship. I'll approach some ne'er-do-wells and see if anybody knows anything about that. I'll do a streetwise check if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah, so you ask around and people just kind of shake their heads and be like, I don't know. It doesn't look like anything to me. Looks like trouble. That looks like trouble to me, right?
Right.
Nobody can easily or readily identify that ship. Okay, so before you leave the villa, you throw open his big walk-in closets and kind of go through, and yes, he does have some, fancy, what's the word I'm looking for? Blouses, right, with the, classic.
You stopped.
Classic pirate.
Shirts most
affair.
frilly.
Yeah, shirts most frilly, and
Whenever we get back.
the pants and the big boots with the buckles on them and hats and everything like that. And, like the spaghetti western dress of pirate.
Yeah, it has to be painfully obvious that it's a costume of a pirate.
Including, some, it looks like one particular costume you find all kind of hung together in the same hook, with like silk pants and very shiny boots with the big buckles and like an eye patch that's embroidered and has black sequins on it. It's obviously a costume for some type of ball.
It'll do.
So you guys gonna dress up as phony pirates?
No, I'm not gonna wear a costume. I'll just wear my clothes.
Okay, perfect.
Or a leather armor, yeah.
Okay. And so you guys are dressed up or not as you wish, and are hanging out on the pier trying to gain information about this lone dark ship, and that's where we'll pick up on the next game.